Hello, welcome back to my channel. How are you, my astrological and numerological friends? Well, I've been asked a lot about the numbers of the current president of the United States among other public people. So I decided to share this with you today. And also a glimpse of his astrological natal chart. So let's start with numerology. This is Pythagorean, by the way. Okay. I only took on account the most relevant points that I found in his numerological chart, because numerology is very extended, so vast, I better say. So these are the most important numbers that I can share with you, just so we understand the personality traits of Donald John Trump and look at with a different perspective from the things that are happening right now. I don't get into politics or debates, anything like that. I always said I'm Swedish, I'm kind of neutral here, so this is just for study. So let's start. Well, as you can see, this is the full legal name, and this is the date of birth, and these are his numbers. And so his combination, it's 4 as a life path, 7 as an inner number or inner drive, 7 as an external number, it's how people perceive him, and 5 as his life goal. We have to keep in mind that not everyone fulfills the life goal number. It has to be checked with the destiny, and that goes with the signature along with the mission, the life path. And yeah, so we don't have the numbers for the signature because we don't know what he's writing here, but we see the scribble, so we can do a study of graphology after we explore the main chart, which is the name and the date of birth. Now, Pythagorean numerology, we have to keep in mind it's mathematical, so numbers don't switch, change, or influx or deflux. It's just exact, so it's a mathematician formula. So if we say that his life path is a number 4 and 4 is a close even number, we can keep that in mind when we explore all the rest of the numbers. Like, for instance, the life goal is number 5, which is an open and even number. And 7, I have to mention this because some people don't know, in numerology, Pythagorean numerology, the 7 is an even number. Yes, as you hear. It has a lot of Saturn in it. It's a lot of structure. We relate to the Kabbalah, the mystical Hebrew Kabbalah, and we observe that tree of life. The 7 will be Malhut, and the top of the cusp, Al-Silut, which is the highest point when we take consciousness of our real inner self, as we are, energy beings. So, and from the if we put it in a graphic, it will be a square on the base, which is Earth, Malhut, manifestation on Earth, and at the cusp will be a triangle that doesn't fit into it, so it's kind of crooked, and that's the reason why the 7 has a challenge to keep in balance in between Earth and heaven. Let's say it that way. or higher realm or higher consciousness, however you want to call it. And yeah, so when it's way down to the root chakra, it's way too materialistic. And when it's way up into the cusp of the top of the triangle, it's way too Neptunian. It cannot be dissolved or blend with everything in the universe. Let's say way too spiritual, forgetting that we are also wearing a bodysuit of a human being, kind of thing. So we have to keep it in the middle, the balance. Now, the karma is number 6, and that is from tantric numerology, which is different. I didn't add the whole chart here, but just the main numbers, as I said, which is the most important just to understand his personality. So we say that this is close, 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 open, and we have an open goal as a end of life, to fulfill our life path. These numbers don't help at all. So what it gives us is an unbalanced, disharmonious combination, internal conflict here of ideals, a bit of rebellion, lack of constructive logic, governed by intuition and instinct, which is the number 7. Although the 4 is way too logical and squared, the 7 is not. So it's more intuitive and instinctive. So he's a lot of uses a lot of pragmatism and an intellectual process without healthy resources. Because what happened with the 7 here, because these numbers don't help the 7, the 4 and the other 7 in between these 7, is that he can have, and we don't know because we don't see that, he's very private with his personal life, but maybe in his early years or between walls at home, he may feel a sort of anxiety, depression, stress, a lot of stress. Maybe he got thoughts of death, like committing suicide at a certain point of his life, because these numbers that are way too constricted don't help these open goal that wants to do everything in life. It's kind of like a contradiction, incoherence, and myself and what I want and how I work in, and the energies that move between the outside and the inside, and so yeah, it could be possible. We don't know that, but that's his numbers. Now, lack of healthy ties within the family of origin also we can see in the karma number 6, and among other numbers that I'm going to show you after, and also in his natal chart. Now, because he missing a lot of vowels, he doesn't have much vowels, and he lacks of 9s here. That's the 9 is a very important number. So in the personality block, the predominant numbers are the 1, which is ego, the 4, that is a number of hard work also, but also for psychic rigid mind, and that I don't believe it unless I see it kind of thing. It's very structural, and yeah, it's basically, if you know cartoons, Bob the Builder. Anyways, and the number 1, it's like I said, it's ego, but it's also, it could be positive ego or healthy ego or unhealthy ego, but it depends the other numbers that help or doesn't help. In this case, it could be also leadership, but not the type of thing like a team leader that includes everyone, but the type of leader that it's the boss, that I said so and you do what I said so. A bit of egoism, And yeah, if I say it, you do. But also a lot of visionary aspects in his way of doing things. He's also an entrepreneur and very independent in that sense of way. But the 6 here, it's all the opposite, because it's a obsession, it's a compulsion, it's also someone that cannot let go things, especially in the emotional part of life, like with the exes or things that happen to them in the emotional side. Melodramatic and victimization at the minimum worst level. We human beings tend to work in polarities, either positive or negative, maximum, minimum. So when we polarize ourselves in one of these spectrum, either positive or minimum, in the maximum or minimum way, we have an emotional distress and we need psychotherapy to balance that. So the 6 also, it's family and it's also love, but these numbers don't help the 6 to fulfill this type of thing, and not the numbers we have are that here are way too materialistic to fulfill that. The 6 could be love and empathy and maximum positive polarity. It has a tendency to go to the other side when the other numbers don't help. And now here we have in the second predominant the 5, which is I want to do everything. It's pure energy, and but I want to do everything at the same time, basically like multitasking, And Gemini is multitasking. So in the 7, again, it's repeating in the predominant as a second row, and it's again we're gonna say that it's a very mental, not mental in the way of craziness, but it uses a lot of head. It stays in the head all the time. It filters everything through the logical part, the mental part, the materialistic, and it requires facts to believe something. So, okay. Now we have a missing number, which is extremely, extremely crucial. It's vital, and it's number 9. But we see we only have 1. And this is really bad for everyone, not just for him. Number 9 is empathy. It's humanity itself. It's altruism. It's the glue or the bond between human nature as humanity itself, as giving the honor of the word, being human, to be not good, but to be fair and just with the others, even with those that we do not know, that we want to help other people, that we feel the urge that we are there for everyone if they need us. Well, he doesn't have that, okay? So what happened when we don't have 9s and we have a lot of materialistic numbers is that we're disconnected from whatever spiritual side that human beings have, intrinsically. So he's basically moved by the material world, and we're gonna see that in another part of this chart that I'm bringing to you guys. So, like I said here, the world of mother predominates in the numbers he has, and he has a great difficulty in establishing healthy bonds and healthy boundaries at all levels. And that comes from a wound, child wound, so we're gonna see that here too in his signature. And as I said, I cannot tell you the number of the signature, because only he knows what he's scribbling in this that means for him Donald Trump or John Trump or Iron Man. I don't know. So whatever he puts in there, we don't know. So that's his destiny, and we cannot compare that number right now. Unless somebody knows him and you add him, then you can tell me, then we can explore it. I'm kidding. So his privacy, that's top thing for him. It's very important, privacy and his personal life. Now, there's an internal conflict with his past and present, his history. You see this here, I'm gonna show you these when as people, well, a person signs backwards and comes back and forth 1, 2, 3 times. You see, that's a mess with the past. So it kind of goes back and forth in his head with his emotions, maybe some trauma and traumatic events or distressful childhood and things like that, you know. Now, the lines of aggression, that's at its peak. There's so much points here and here and here and here, but just the way it's signed, and open and close, over and cover, you know. So now the desire for control and a forceful way and manipulation, because it's very, the signature is extremely tight. It represents that. It kind of says that I want to control. You know, I have this urgency to feel in control. The same as the number 4 and 7. They want to control everything. Now, doesn't take orders from anyone easily. So you can tell that, right? Now, gets confused and overwhelmed easily too. And it says here in the signature from these distressed parts in here. Anyways, so we're exploring personality traits just to understand the person behind the number. Now, this is this is pinnacles, okay? I forgot to change this idea for my other students in Spanish. By the way, I'm Spaniard. So this is the pinnacle study, and the pinnacle study shows that how the person gonna move in life, and we're gonna see only the meaning of, like I said at the beginning, very specific number here. I put the whole diagram for you guys, but we are gonna explain only what is the most important part, because that's his personal life. But we have to understand that he comes from a pinnacle number 2 in life, which is the first wound. When we're children, we all have a wound in our pinnacles that shows where we come from, how was our home, how was our environment, our relationship with our parents or caregivers, meaning the most important person, authority figures when we were little until we were adolescent, teenagers. This is the crucial number. And this is stuck in the subconscious, inactive, because side of our brain. We kind of tend to put it aside, like cover it up, like, okay, it happened. I'm gonna turn the page, you know, leave it in the past. So it kind of stuck here in the chest of treasures, the Pandora box. This is the subconscious side. So these wound, it's also related to the karma number 6 that we saw here, because the number 2 and the number 6, although this is tantric numerology, All roads lead to Rome. And here, this is a pinnacles. The number 2, it's also related to healthy emotional bonds with family of origin. You know, the ties, the bonds, the boundaries, the whatever it comes or it's related, let's say, with our emotional side, emotional nurturing, emotional part in life, which is primal and basically the most important when we are growing up, you know. And the first person we have for this as a guide, role model, in most of the cases, I wouldn't say now because things are changing in families, but back then, because he's from 1946, so after World War II, it was the mother. So the wound will be either with the mother or the father or both, okay? And it shows that this child didn't have a good role model for healthy emotional recognition of boundaries, ties, bonds, and how to interact with others in a healthy way, you know. So this is a very important wound to understand why he acts the way he acts. It's unconscious, okay? So, and the other pinnacle that is more important right now because he's over 50 years old. This is the last one for infinity and beyond. He's leaving this now, and he's gonna leave it until he passes. So the number 8 as a pinnacle means that I want to attain power and control and wealthy and the material world and recognition and fulfill basically all my material, comfortable expectations in life that I could provide myself. Not that other gives me for free or I received for nothing, but that I have the power. And when I said the power, I'm not saying as a king seated in a throne, but the power meaning that I have the capacity to do it, to go for it, you know. This is a combination of Mars and Pluto in the 8th house, which Mars was the former ruler of the sign of Scorpio until the transpersonals were found, discovered, and then Pluto, it's the modern one. So we always do the dual ruling for this. So 8th is Mars and Pluto in this size. I mean, in this way, in this time, in this meaning. So he wants to be the general, not just the officer, but the general in command, okay, in his life for any type of power that he wants to attain, either ruling as a president, ruling as a CEO, chief owner of his companies, the ruler of his house, the main person. I'm here, you see me, you know, I shine. If you don't see me, boom, I don't like you. Basically, something like that. So he wants to be seen. So keep an eye on. Now, let's say, this unconscious number is also important in a sense of way that the things that he does are unconscious, and he thinks that everything is at certain level superficial. It's not it's not crucial. It's not a big thing or a big deal. It's like, okay, boom, I'm gonna throw a bomb to whatever, my bathroom, okay, it's not a big deal. I can buy another one, something like that. Because the number 3 in the unconscious side, when it's active, it's also superficiality. It's also a kind of like a plastic type of thing. It's not Saturn. It's not structured. Then, okay, life challenges, which is this part here. And he has a life challenge. He has many. We don't tend to have many, but he has a row. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a lot. That's a lot. So a challenge to leadership, to be his own boss, to keep himself on top of everything. A challenge for the, like I said, family ties, boundaries, healthy emotional relationships. Also for number 2, it's also diplomacy, and it's in the negative. So, but in a healthy way, not a hypocritical side of diplomacy. It's more like, if you need a hand, I give you a hand. It's kind of empathic. And the number 3 as the joy in life. I enjoy life, but to be humble and joyful. Not these type of 3 here. Okay. Now the number 4 here, it's also to construct, to build things that are that are worth for life, that have a healthy structure, that a sense of refuge, but refuge in a way that I feel at home. I feel secure, things like that. Now here, this chart here that you see here, maybe you haven't seen it much. Most numerologies don't use it. That we have arrows, like you see, it's like a cross or puzzle. That if you cross few numbers, you complete that section. And as you can see, he doesn't have the physical body, and he doesn't have the spiritual world. Okay, he only have the earthly world here, the communication skills, which is the number 9, and the intellect side. But that doesn't mean that the intellect side means his head works a lot. Okay, he has the ability to work the mind. Now we have to see that the mind it's an imbalance, because we need other numbers, especially the spiritual world, to balance the mind. Otherwise we go way to the materialistic side, as we see already. So it kind of repeats everywhere, and that's what I did, several things to see if it's a pattern. And we know that it's a pattern of behavior. It's set in stone. At least that's what we say in psychotherapy or clinical psychology. So, and we see a pattern of behavior. Okay, that's set in stone, ain't gonna change. Okay, it's unconscious most of the time. Now, I put this in here. I took it from the source of astro.com, but you can also look at it on Wikipedia or Google or Chrome, whatever you have as a search resource. Anyway, it says here that with the publication of Ivana's, the first or second wife, I think. I'm not into fashion, politics, or public figures, so I didn't know about this thing. But Ivana's tell a book. She apparently she wrote a book, and she wrote certain private things that Trump didn't like, and he put a lawsuit against her. for breach of privacy. And I found that very interesting. That goes along with his signature here. Like I said, privacy is extremely important. So that just to prove certain things that I see, okay, where I can find more information about him. Now, let's see. I put the chart. I'm gonna reduce this to have a better look. I think there. Okay, so this is his natal chart, but you know why? Because I put it for the transits for July 7 to 2025, because he's a Gemini, and he's a Gemini in the 10th house, which is a great deal for him, okay? What happens with anybody that has the sun in the 10th house? It's a person. The 10th house is the house of the king, and the 9th house is the house of the queen, meaning whatever is in the 9, you can tell about your mother, and whatever is in the 10, you can tell about your father, okay? Now, whatever is in the cusp of the mid-heaven, or the mid-sky here, it's important. 9 and 10, but also half of the 11 and half of the 8. Now, he doesn't have planet here on the 8, but he has Mercury. And Mercury is on the 11 at the 8th degree, which is related to Pluto. And I work with the degree theory, okay, from the Polish astrologer. If you don't know that, then if you're an astrologer, you can Google it. It's extremely accurate. Okay, so what happened with this chart is that on July 7th, which is the 7/7 of the year number 9 in numerology, because the universal year, it's 9, 5 plus 2 plus 2 equal 9, and 9 in numerology means ending of cycles. So we are living this year, by the way, a lot of turmoils, because we're ending a cycle. And the Kali Yuga, if you haven't heard about that, I can put it in another video, but you can Google it, the Kali Yuga. And because we're starting, we are in it, but we are starting it. It's the era of Aquarius. And if you haven't read the book of the Aquarius Conspiracy from Madeline Ferguson, I can recommend it to you. So this is very interesting, because 7 of 9, it's just the two magical numbers in the numerology and in the Kabbalah and in the mystical things in the world, and 7 is manifestation and 9 is ending of cycles. So we are living a manifestation of ending cycles right now in the world. And the entrance of Uranus conjunct Venus on Gemini will be 7/7/25. So 7/7/9 at 7:50 hours universal time. And he's a Gemini. So that's why I decided to put the transits for that date, to see how his chart gonna be with the transits for July 7. And if you can see, Uranus is entering conjunct with Venus into his 10th house. I can tell you that all Geminis are the ones that gonna be the chosen ones. I can tell by the mind in the revolutionary way of downloading information from the universe, because Uranus, Mercury, which is the ruler, and it's right here, it shares the energy of the 10 for him. Okay, this is extremely important for everyone that is Gemini to see their charts. Um, they're gonna have insomnia, they're gonna have so much energy, they're gonna feel lethargic, they're gonna, because Uranus is revolution, it's new, it's extremely fast. If Mercury is intelligence, Uranus revolves the intelligence of Mercury here. Okay, so and he gonna have the return of his natal planet along with Venus and the Sun, and he's working on the North node. And the house 10, it's all about the professional side, and that is related to the pinnacle number 8. I want to manifest power. You see, everything is related here. Now, I put some notes here for you so you can read them also if you want, but I found these highlighted. Okay, the fight. We have to see that Mars is in the 12th house, and the 12th house is in Leo, and Mercury it's transiting over there for the July 7th. Okay, what is the fight aspect here? Mars in the 12th house at 26 degree, it's fiery and reserved. It's potentially expressing passion and drive through indirect or subconscious means, strong will and creative energy that is channeled into hidden pursuits of the 12th house. Tendency to internalize anger or frustration, requiring conscious efforts to develop healthy outlets for these emotions. So as we can see in the natal aspects of his chart is related also to numerological aspects in his numerology chart. Now, another thing here is the love aspect, which is Venus and Venus Saturn conjunct 25 and 23 degrees. So it's 2-degree orb conjunct in Cancer in the 11th house from Aquarius. The 11th house belongs to Aquarius, and again, it's ruled by Uranus. So it's frugality, materialistic, possibly selfish, cheapskate, we don't know, at home. Money rules over love. So for him, it's important the pocket, the bank account, to fall in love, or if it's someone that it's wealthy and luxurious or way too pretty. So the look, basically, Now it's challenging relationships also because Saturn is in there, and money gain among social interaction. Why money gain among social interaction? Because the 11th house is social groups, and Venus provides money because he's the ruler of Taurus in the second house. Not for him, I mean, in the astrological chart, and Venus is money, okay, and Saturn gives a structure, rigidity too. Now the mind aspect, which is Mercury, it's in Cancer, and it's in Cancer, and the 8th degree. What is this? It's 8th house here. Okay, that's a typo. That's not right. Okay, here. And what it looks like, it's an emotionally unstable. Why? Because Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the moon is cyclic. So if we put Mercury, which is the mind, in the house of the moon, we're gonna have change of moods, swing moods, like I'm here, I'm not. Like we can see in real time, he's very moody. So that explains a lot of things. Now, the heart aspect. The heart aspect, we see the heart of the person in the 5th house, and here he has Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, and we also have the vertex. Okay, now the heart aspect, Capricorn 5th house, vertex 22 degrees. Now, the person who is highly focused on achieving their goals and attaining personal mastery, but rigidity in love and the material world rules the heart. Okay, so that is a special point that also matches the numerology numbers that we saw before. Now we have the self aspect. The self aspect is in the fourth house. This is childhood basically, and there's the moon. And the moon is in Sagittarius at 23 degree with Lilith in the same at 4 degree, which the 4 degree belongs to Cancer again. So it's the mother and the south node where I come from. So what happened here is that we see that he has a wound, child wound, with the mother, but also with the father. As some astrologers said, I will say both parents, because the house 4 is my home when I was a kid, where I grew up and being raised, my environment, my safe cave, my safe corner, where I can come back to get comfort and nurturing from my parents or personal caregivers or grandparents, whatever person resembles these for the person in the natal chart for the fourth house. And we have the moon, which is the mother. And we have Lilith at the 4th degree Cancer, again, the mother. But this house belongs to the father. So I would say he has child wounds with both parents. Both parents. And also, it's in opposition, the moon is in opposition, natal opposition to the 10th house, to the sun, which means that the father and the mother were in a confrontation, total different polarities by the time he was in the womb of the mother, even a year before, because we have to see it through the psychological side also, that the exploration of the wounds that we have in our natal chart, they don't belong to us. They belong to our parents. And we inherited that memory cells, and it shows up in our natal chart. So we have to move away from it. That's why the south node is here, as you can see. So the mother, which is the moon, and the father, which is the sun, were polarized at a completely different sides of the field. I want this, you want that, we don't get along, we want different things for you and for me, or for the baby, or for both together. So that's a confrontation. This is an opposition, natal opposition from mother and father. And he inheritates this opposition, this feeling, this sense of my mother is against my father, I have to be against others, I feel this tension in myself because the memory cells engraves this in his cells when he born, So this is the way he acts. And also the moon in Sagittarius, which is from many charts that I did and people that I heard, and you can Google it. And especially with these aspects, I can say it could be a narcissistic part of parentalhood in here. The fiery signs, when in astrological studies, we always learn that fiery signs have the most tendency to develop narcissism. Now, narcissism, we all have level of narcissism in a healthy way. It's like healthy ego and healthy ego. But narcissism is more like egoism, and it's more like guilt tripping and gaslighting. So if we said the parents give this type of environment to the child when the child is unaware of what is red, I'm just learning, I'm grasping everything, he learns this as a native behavior. It's natural in him to be narcissistic, and we see that in his personality trait. I would say that he's narcissistic, and somehow I will say he has certain traits for psychopathic personality trait disorder, or especially with the things that are like shooting, hitting, bombing, killing, things like that to others, and lack of empathy, which is the number 9. Again, we go back to numerology, which gives the altruism and the empathy to others. If we don't feel empathic, scans of the brain, the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, and the side where we work out to develop empathy to others in people that have personality trait disorders as narcissists in a chronic way of cover over or psychopaths, it's a void. It's just black. This has nothing. There's nothing in gray. There's no gray matter. Anyways, so we can scan his brain, but we can see his numbers and his personality, patterns of behavior, and his natal chart, and relate to that. Now, here, as you can see, he has a lot of planets, or most of the planets, and the cardinal cross. And what the cardinal cross means, that he is a person that goes for action. It goes outside. He doesn't go inwards. It means that he doesn't look inside himself, and we go back to the spiritual realm, which is completely empty here, and he doesn't have the skills to meditate, to reflect, to feel empathy or guilt or remorse, stuff like that, So now the cardinal, the hidden sign here is Aries. With all these, this is a formula, by the way, to find out this. So Aries is ruled by Mars, the god of war. It's a cardinal cross, element fire, and the ruler is in the 8th house. And the 8th house here, as you can see, let's go up, Aries, it's in the house of Pluto. Now Pluto is here with Mars in the 12th, transgenerational. So what it's telling you, it's that money, it's important, deep transformations are important, loss and gain are important. Mars and Pluto in the 12th in Leo, which is a fiery sign again, and Leo is creativity, and it's the inner self, it's the sun, it's ruled by the sun, so it's our light, our soul, and creativity to make money and hidden resources, because it's in the 12th, which is ruled by Neptune. So anyways, this is a glance, a glimpse of his natal chart, the most important aspects that I found. And just to understand, here, one more thing. The house 3, it's also for siblings, but here we're gonna see it only for the communication skills, because we are not exploring his natal chart for seeing him, as how he was when he was a kid, but just how he behaves along his natal chart. So the third house is shared by Libra and Scorpio, which is ruled by Venus and Pluto and Mars, because this is double ruler here. So what it says here, 4 communication skills, okay? Passive, aggressive, and persuasive communication skills to manipulate others in negotiations, Venus, and secrecy and selectivity, Pluto, Mars. So if you study astrology or numerology or both, maybe this could help some of you. And for the ones that are just like these type of things, well, I hope, and I don't hope, I wish you all like it and find that interesting, just to understand the personality traits of this person, which is Donald John Trump, the current president of the United States. And that's it. If you have any comment, please leave it in the comment box. And if you like it, you can give it a like. And if you want to share it, you can share it. It's all free. Anyways, I wish you all like it. And thank you for being here. Till the next time. Bye-bye.